Well, hello YouTubers, how's it going? Well, a Monday night in the old garage, as it's pretty cold outside and we got the neon all together. Thing runs great. This thing does not drip one drop of oil, which is kind of rare. Now, with any vehicle, when you buy them, you never know what you're going to get into until you start driving it. So I've been driving it a little bit, and I have a noise on the front end. I want to show you something that a lot of people overlook. They go and replace a lot of upper and lower ball joints, control arms, and it's probably a 10-cent item that causes a lot of rattling noise sometimes. At least in my case, it looks like it is. Now, as you can see here, I've got the wheel off, and I noticed when I went to hit my brakes and it shifted into overdrive, the steering wheel kind of moved and the car felt like it swayed a little bit. And I want to show you that we actually have something that's loose here. Now, I initially thought it was a lower ball joint. Checked it checked out okay. The upper bearing on this strut is okay. All the bolts here are tight on the connecting the strut onto the top of the knuckle here. Then I started looking at some other parts. No problem with this tie rod, and it's really tight. I mean, if I shake this, you can see it's not even moving. We have movement somewhere else. So as I kept moving things around here, you can see the back of the lower control arm there. It's pretty solid, but I noticed the movement is actually forward. Now here is the front of the control arm. Now when I move this whole assembly, you notice something? That whole thing is moving. Now, just so you know, I loosened this nut up, this bolt back here. There's a big nut on the inside that's kind of has a clamp on it. But when I broke this bolt loose, I did actually get it out from the nut. Sometimes these are pretty hard to do. And I put a little oil in there, but I got this loose. But even before I broke this loose, this was tight as it can be, and this whole control arm here moves around. See that? So what has happened here, and I see this often, especially on shocks on bigger SUVs, this bushing will start to move around, and this bolt that goes through the bushing will actually start to get worn down, and over time the tolerances will become less and less, and or meaning we'll get more of a gap between the bolt that's going through that bushing, and you'll get more and more movement. This is what's happened. So I'm going to take this out, and now we're going to take a look at the bolt and see if my theory is right. If it is, really all we need to do is replace the bolt. I kind of find it hard that the bushing would be wore out, but we'll see. But just wanted to show you. So what we're going to do is go ahead and try to get this bolt out. I've got it pretty loose and everything, and I actually had to jack the transmission up and put a block under it to get just a little more room here to get it started. I think we've got it pretty loose there, and sometimes if you can't get it started, just get a chisel and put in behind the washer or the head of the bolt here and hit it, and this will force it out a little bit. I've seen so many guys lose their mind because I couldn't get a bolt like this out. Suspension work is not easy. It's pretty hard to do. So, alright, so we just about got our bolt out, and if I loosen a little bit more, it should come out. And I love my extension ratchets. They are a lifesaver. And I have a review on this particular one here, a couple videos back. Alright, so we just about got this out. I'm hoping the bolt is just wore out, but I could be wrong, but we'll see here in a minute. Because when this thing was completely tight, it still had slop in it, which is unusual. Alright, so we'll have to play around with this, get it out of here. Oh, there we go. Now here's what I was telling you. They use these guys here. I call them anchor nuts, but they're on there from the factory, and when you put oil on them, they usually come right off. So let's see if we can get this bolt out, see what's going on. So far, the bolt doesn't look that bad. So we're going to have to use a little bit of a pry bar, it looks like. Sometimes you just got to hit them and move them and wiggle them until they just about get out. Sometimes if you just turn them, it breaks the rust loose and it'll come out. I'll think we're just about there. Alright, just about got there. Pry up on the bottom a little bit there. There we go. Oh. Alright, there's our bolt. And, yep, my theory is correct. This is why I like making videos for you guys, to help you understand this stuff and save money. Now look at the threads right here. You see how thick the threads are? When we get down here, look how this is all worn down. Look at that. Especially right there. So what's happening, that bushing is moving around. This bolt should be really thick, and you can just tell by the threads there's a big difference. And I've seen this on shocks, so I'm happy. This is what it is. So all I gotta do now is go find me another bolt and stick in there, and we should be back in business. So it's never cut and dry, that's for sure. Now, while hunting up another long bolt, this is the one I took out, and you can see how it's kind of worn down. I did find one of the other bolts about 2 weeks ago out of a vehicle. Check this out. See how that's worn down right here? Where the threads are down next to nothing. Then you have lots of threads here. This is where bushings will move around and cause you a rattling issue. And here's another one that's pretty bad right here. You see the threads are completely missing. And this one here was off of a... I think another Explorer, which had a shock issue. This one here definitely was a rear shock issue that was bouncing around. The guy replaced everything you can think of, and he was about ready to give up. And I looked at it, and I started shaking things, and this is how I found his issue. Okay, kids of America and children of the sun. How many of you know what that is? But anyway, we can say goodbye to our old bolt that was giving us a problem. Hello to our new bolt. This is why I like to keep all my nuts and bolts in a big bucket, because you never know what you're going to need. And all we got to do is finish tightening this up, and we're going to go see if our rattling will disappear. We got our lock anchor nut on the back. So all we got to do is just tighten her down, and looks like hopefully it'll take care of the issue. And by the way, if you happen to be doing a neon, which I don't know, the video might get 20 views, I don't know. This socket size is a 21 millimeter, but use a 6-point if you can. Alright, so she's tightening down now. She's drawing in. Oh yeah, that's going to be a big difference, I can tell already. Oh, 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 jeez. Either I'm getting old or weak. Alright, that is tight. Alright, now let's check it for play. Okay, now she's on. She's nice and tight. Let's see if we have any more play. I'm going to take my pry bar and put up under here. See if we... Oh my lord, it's tight. How about that? I can't believe it. Let me shake this a little bit. So there, the cost for me to do this, 0 cents. So if you get into your vehicle and look at all your nuts and bolts, make sure you don't have one that's wore out. This is going to help you out too and save you tons of money. So yeah, it looks like you don't have to worry about this no more. Everything's nice and tight. If I hold my light just right there, I think you can see that. So that took care of a problem. So, you know, some of you may be saying, why are you working on a junky neon? Well, the same principle applies for all vehicles. If you can use one prop, it will help you on other vehicles, I think. So if you have noise under your vehicle, definitely check your bolts going through all of your suspension parts. Make sure one of them's not wore out. Okay, guys, so hopefully this has been a little bit of an eye-opener, or maybe put some ideas in your head if you're fighting suspension noises. But looks like that's going to take care of it. No point in me putting the wheel on and you watching me do all that. Just want to show you guys that things sometimes can actually be fixed for nothing. So thanks for watching. Until my next video, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.